Welcome everyone. This is the last talk, and congratulations to all those who have managed to stick with this course so far. So tonight's talk is on meditation, one of the core practices of Buddhism. Now we've said a lot of our seeing is driven by the three fires of wanting something, which is desire, or wanting to get rid of something, which is aversion or ill will or anger, and delusion, not really seeing the way things really are, a flawed view of reality. So with these three fires, the world that we see is distorted. On the other hand, we do have an inherent capacity to act in accord with the situation and to be able to see the true nature of reality as it is. So how do we begin to discern that our seeing is distorted? How do we know what it is like to be at one with the circumstances as they are? And the tool that is used in Buddhism is meditation. And I'll just read a few words that Piyadasi says in Spectrum of Buddhism. He says, meditation is a state of mental purity where disturbing passions and impulses are calmed down so that the mind becomes unified and collected and enters into a state of clear consciousness and awareness. So we calm the mind down of disturbing thoughts, disturbing passions, then the mind is clear and the mind is calm. And through that calmness, we become aware of what is around us and how we are deluded. So we hear of meditation being used for all sorts of purposes these days. For example, we hear of it being used for stress relief, to increase productivity at work, for example, as various types of therapy. As far as Buddhism is concerned, while all these benefits may accrue, the primary purpose of meditation is to gain tranquility of the mind, and that is called samatha, where the mind is calmed down. And then in this calmness, it enables us to get insight into the way things really are. And this part of meditation is called vipassana. So there are two aspects, samatha, where the mind is calmed down. And then in that calmness, we can begin to see the true reality as it is. We can see connections that we do not see with our distorted seeing. And the sole purpose is to attain unshakable deliverance of the mind and the supreme security that can be attained by overcoming all mental defilements. And in the process, we understand what true reality is as well. So how do we meditate? It should be remembered that although in this lesson I'll be describing the technique, it is like talking about playing the piano or talking about playing a sport, because the only real way is to actually do it rather than talk about it. So it is a practical skill that has to be acquired and refined. And we must not expect quick results, because it is about bringing real transformation into the way we see things, how we view the world around us. And, our distorted seeing has been there since time immemorial. And therefore, the transformation does take time and effort and patience. So we must be patient with it, and we mustn't expect quick results. The other thing to say is, when we take up the practice of meditation, even if we do it on our own at home, ideally, one should go to meditation in a group setting on a regular basis as well. So at the moment, we can't meet physically, but there are many classes which are held on Zoom, and even that is helpful. If, generally speaking, if we do meditation on our own, without ever interaction with other people, generally experience has shown that it tends to fizzle out. So we can do meditation on our own, but on a regular basis, say once a week, twice a week, or whatever suits you, you should really do it in a group setting. There is something about doing meditation in a group. It's like an energy boost that we get, and it keeps us going. And as I say, if we set out to do it on our own, it does fizzle out. And for the practice to be of real value, the practice should be a regular one. Nothing much will come out of it if one does it only when one feels like it. So one should really build it into one's routine. It should be done ideally at the same time every day. The times can maybe differ for weekends, but so for weekdays, we should have set time. Weekends, we can have a different time, but keep to that routine. So what one should do is, one should look at one's circumstances and decide what time would suit one. So, for some people, it may be suitable to do it early in the morning before going to work. For others, it may work better if they come home, deal with the children, have dinner, and then do meditation. So whatever works with you, choose that particular time and do it at that set time. And also, you should really do it when you do it at home, ideally in the same place. Find a quiet corner somewhere, and keep to the same place as far as possible. Because, if we have the same place and the same time, come that place, our heart is ready for meditation. So it helps to do it in the same place. And if possible, have a Buddha figure, even if it's just a picture of Buddha on a postcard, where we meditate, where you sit in front of it, and ideally bow to the Buddha image or Buddha statue, it's called Buddha Rupa, before starting meditation. Because the practice of meditation is to let go of I, me, myself, for something that is greater. So it helps to go with an attitude of willingness to surrender myself into something greater. So the bow really helps with that. And also the bow actually brings about gratitude towards Buddha as well. So it's a helpful practice to bow, before Buddha, before starting our meditation. And you can, if you want to, you can even light an incense in front of the Buddha Rupa if you wish. So when we start off, we can start off for short periods, maybe about 15 or 20 minutes might be enough to start off with. And then we can gradually build it up. And normally when we build it up, again, do it to the extent that it suits your circumstances. Don't try and work against your circumstances, because you will find that you will soon give it up. So see how much time you can fit in. If it's 15, 20 minutes, that's fine. If it's half hour is ideal, that's fine. So in my practice, we are told to do meditation for 1 hour a day. And if you do make it to 1 hour, you should have a break after half an hour for a couple of minutes to stretch your legs and to get the blood flowing again before you go back into the meditation posture. One thing I say that we should do it regularly, and I said every day. I should qualify that. Actually, one should have 1 day of the practice per week completely, so that one is refreshed. The practice doesn't go stale. So again, stick to the same day every week. Don't chop and change. So find out which day is best for you to take off the practice of meditation and stick to that day. And also another thing is, if you do get into doing meditation regularly, then ideally you should have a couple of breaks in a year as well, week, 10 days or so. And this can coincide with breaks like Christmas period or Easter period, or if your children are at school, it can coincide with their school holidays. But it's useful to have those breaks, so break one day off per week, and a couple of times in a year, about 10 days or so. These all are helpful to keep meditation fresh. Incidentally, Lavinia has now again put up the titles of the 2 books that you could read further after this course if you want to. As I said, if you click on the 3 dots, you would get an option to save the chat. So that'll be the way to save those titles. And then it'll appear in a folder called Zoom folder somewhere on your computer. Okay, so those are the preliminaries about meditation. Okay, so next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you meditation postures. Now, I'm going to show the posture first, sitting on the floor on a cushion, and then I'm going to show it on a chair. Now, people ask, is it better to sit on the cushion floor or on the chair? So I'd say, try sitting on the cushion if you can, and if you feel you can. But if you just can't, or maybe if you got certain issues with your leg, or some injury or anything like that, then chair is equally good. It's far better to be able to sit still in a good posture than to force yourself into sitting badly on a cushion, for example. When we sit on the floor, if it's a hard floor, so I'm sitting on a hard floor actually. If you're sitting on a hard floor, you can use a couple of folded blankets or a rug to give you softness. And then I'm sitting here on, actually these are foam blocks which are used for yoga, but you don't need those, necessarily need those. You could use any cushions. Basically, you just want to get a height that you can sit on, and you would need to experiment how high it needs to be. If you are, generally speaking, if you're stiffer, you might need to sit a little bit higher. So before I show you, go into the full position, just want to explain, some people do sit cross-legged like this. Generally speaking, in Buddhist meditation, we don't sit like that because it's very difficult to keep a stable posture when the knees are in the air like this. So I'll show you the posture in a minute, where the knees are actually in touch with the ground. Right, so what we need, so when we're sitting, we need to sit in a stable posture so that we do not move about. If we are constantly fidgeting and trying to get into a comfortable position, then the mind will not settle down. Therefore, this posture is actually designed or has been tried over hundreds of years, in fact. Once you get used to it, it's possible to remain in this posture for half an hour without moving at all. And that should be the aim, to be able to sit without moving at all. Now, so, you know, this is a very stable posture. If you're not used to it, it may feel awkward, but you can, as I say, you know, you can start off with just about 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever you can bear to start with, and then gradually make that period longer. Right now, I will show you the posture for the legs. So for the stability, as I said, we need to be in a stable posture. So for stability, we use 3 points of contact with the ground. So there's those would be the two knees on the ground, and then the back on the cushion at the back. And then what we do is we take 1 foot above the other one like this. And there we are, we've got the knees on the floor, touching the floor, so that gives stability. And then we've got the back giving the third support. Now, this posture is actually called semi-lotus. There is a lotus posture, full posture, where not only does in my case, it's the right leg over left, but also the left goes over right. I can't do it. Most people can't do it, actually. And it doesn't matter. This is good enough. And if you do this posture, then make sure you alternate which leg is on the top, sometimes the right one, sometimes the left one. So do alternate. If you find this too difficult, what is possible is also just to leave this on the floor, and that is usually much easier for people. But do try half lotus if you can. If you can get used to it, if you can build up, then that's great. And you know, exercises stretching exercises are very good for building up flexibility. And you'll find that if you do stretching exercises, it'll help with the sitting posture. And yoga is ideal for that, in fact. So if you do yoga, you should find that it's much easier for you to get into this posture. Okay, so here too, with this posture, we've got 3 points of contact with the ground, which give us stability. And another option on the floor is to sit on a kneeling posture. So we kneel on the support like this. So this is fine as well. It's called Seiza posture in Japanese. And here again, we got the knees on the ground and the back on the cushion, which gives us stability. It's a very, very stable posture. Okay, so we've now got stability at the base. Okay, so we've got stability at the base. And then what we do with the hands is right palm over left, with the thumbs touching lightly, resting on the lap. So it should be resting on the lap so that it's not, then we're not having to support our arms. Then it's much more relaxed if it's supported on the lap. And then as far as the rest of the posture is concerned, the spine should be straight with the natural curvature as it is, and the head follows the line of the spine. Our hands are like this, and then what we do with the head is it should be straight. We look straight ahead, and then without dropping the head, we just cast our eyes down, and we do not close the eyes. They are half open or slitted, but not closed. In Buddhist meditation, we do not close the eyes because with eyes closed, there's a tendency to go to sleep, and that does not help with meditation. Meditation needs alertness. Okay, so that's the posture on the cushion. Incidentally, so if you're doing it on a carpet, you may not need a blanket or a rug, but you have to experiment and experiment with different heights of cushion. You don't need to go out and buy anything special. Just use cushions at home. Looking ahead, without dropping the head, you cast your eyes down. Just make sure the head is not sort of dropped forwards. Quite often you do find people sort of drop their head forward, because although you might be able to bear that for about half an hour, if you were to go to retreats where you're sitting for long periods, dropping your head means your muscles in the neck are working very hard and they'll get very sore. Whereas if the head is straight, it's well supported. Okay, so I will now just switch off the camera again, and I'll just show you the sitting posture on the chair. And there's only one difference, which is just the feet. So I'll just show you that. So here again, we did a stable posture. So, and we have stable posture by having our feet apart and the feet firmly on the ground. So that again, the feet firmly on the ground gives us the stability. So that's as far as the feet is concerned. And then the other thing that I need to tell you, if you're sitting on a chair, is to make sure that your hips are higher than your knees. And I have managed to do that by putting a couple of cushions here. So I've got this cushion, and so this is actually a wedge that you get for back, which I've covered with a cushion cover. So that's quite useful. But again, you don't need to buy it. Just a couple of cushions would do. But it's very important to have the hips above the knees, because that frees up the back, and then it's easier to straighten the back. And in fact, if I remove the cushions and if I then try to sit on the chair where my hips are not higher than my knees, I'm actually finding it very difficult to straighten my back. So always have your hips higher than your knees. It happens naturally on the cushion, so you don't need to worry about that on the cushion. But here, on the chair, you do need to make sure. And then the rest of the posture is the same, so you've got the feet firmly on the ground, and then, the straight back should be straight. So I'll go back on the cushion. Okay, so feet firmly on the ground, back straight, head straight, look ahead. I know. Let me just show you my head. Head straight, actually the camera is an angle, so you may not be able to see it quite correctly. But my head is straight, and then you look ahead and drop your eyes without moving your head. And again, the head posture is the same. So when I'll just demonstrate it sitting here. But when we are doing meditation, we put our awareness on the breath. So we breathe in, and then we breathe out, and we're aware of breathing in, and then we're aware of breathing out. Now, to aid awareness of the breath and to anchor our awareness on the breath, what we can do is put a count on the out breath. So this is how it goes. We breathe in, and then on the out breath, we put a count, and we do it inwardly, quietly, that is. But to demonstrate, I'll just say it out loud. So we breathe in, and then 1, and stay with the count for the whole length of the out breath, so that the awareness stays with the out breath, and then breathe in, and then 2, breathe in, 3. So, and then if you get to count of 10, then we go back to 1, don't go beyond 10. And why am I saying if we get to count of 10? Because what inevitably happens is that in spite of wanting our awareness on the breath, the thoughts interfere, and we are actually just taken away by the thoughts before we know it. And if as soon as we realize we've drifted away in thoughts, what we do is let go of the thought and go back to the count of 1. So say if you reached 3, then a thought creeps in. So it'll go like this. It'll go 1, 2. And then before we realize it, we start thinking, and we don't actually realize we're thinking. So, we start thinking, now, today it's Tuesday. This is the last talk of the course. That means I'm going to be free next Tuesday. Now, what shall I plan for next Tuesday? I would like to meet my friend, but we are in a lockdown still. I can't meet my friend. This lockdown, it's so miserable. I'd like to go abroad. I'd like to go to a sunny beach. And before we know it, we are in the Caribbean, sunning ourselves. And as soon as we realize we've drifted off mentally like that, let go and go back to the count of 1. Now, the count is not a goal-setting exercise. It's not like that we reach a count of 2 today and aim for a count of 3 next week, It's not like that at all. It's simply to aid awareness and simply to aid letting go of the thoughts and just going back to the breath. Do not be too concerned about how far you get with the count. So there will be days when you may not even get beyond one, which is fine. It is what matters is putting the effort in. Some days will be good and some days won't be so good. So that is basically what meditation is. So through that awareness of the breath, and when we settle down into being aware of the breath and the thoughts subside, then a calmness opens up. And that calmness is the samatha meditation part of it. And to start with, when we start off meditation practice for a period, for a few weeks, a few months, that's all we need to do. Then the other part of meditation can start once you've settled down into samatha meditation. And that other part of meditation is vipassana meditation, which is called insight meditation. Insight meditation generally should not be done on one's own. It needs to be guided by a teacher because the process of insight can be very confusing. So we do need some sort of guidance for that. So definitely, and I'll talk more about that as to where we go from here. But you do, for vipassana meditation, you do need a teacher or a guide. So in the calm that has opened up, we interpose either a teaching that we don't understand or some sort of passion that we are always overcome with, be it some sort of desire, some sort of anger. And we interpose that in the calmness. We do not try and analyze it rationally. We just let it be in the calmness. And eventually the insight opens up about that particular teaching or about the passion that we seem to be having trouble with. It may take a while. It may take 1 or 2 years. We may have to work for it for that long before the insight might open up. But eventually the insight will open up. What we don't though do is we don't try and analyze it rationally because the thing about rational thinking is that it confines what we see only to the rational framework that we have. And what we are trying to do in meditation is to look beyond that, to look beyond the confines of the framework that we put on the world around us. So if you're just going to follow it with intellectual thinking or rational thinking, all we're going to see is it in terms of the framework we put up. So if you've got certain strong opinions, we'll see it in terms of those strong opinions. And those strong opinions may be the very things that are causing us the problems. And we won't see beyond that because we will see it as a self-justified thing if it's a strong opinion that we feel everyone should hold. So in Vipassana meditation, we don't follow, we do not analyze with rational thought. We just let that conundrum be in the calmness. We just let it be, and insights will open up of their own accord. And although, we may feel we're not getting anywhere, it's remarkable. If you just carry on for a few years, you'll realize that, there has been a change. It does produce results, even though we can't necessarily see it for ourselves, or we might feel that we're not making any progress. But given patience and endurance, it will it will show results. Okay, so that is meditation. And so far, I've only talked about sitting meditation, but we must take the meditative attitude that we've developed on the cushion into our daily life. So in our daily life, we are aware of what we're doing. So for example, if we are washing up, then we give ourselves wholeheartedly to the washing up. Or if we are ironing, then we give ourselves wholeheartedly into the ironing. And the meditative attitude that we've developed on the cushion is carried over, that calmness is carried over. And then a new relationship opens up with everything that we deal with in our everyday life, whether it be the crockery and the cutlery that we've used, or the clothes that we have worn, or the iron. A new relationship opens up. And if one practice that's really helpful, particularly at this time of pandemic where we are locked down, perhaps not able to do as much as what we would normally do, is use that time to handle things very carefully. So if we pick up a book, just do a bow. If it's too embarrassing to do it in front of people, then just do a bow inward mentally, or if we have used crockery and cutlery, or if you're about to sit down at a table, then just bow to the food. Again, if you find it embarrassing to do it in front of people, then just have an inward bow of gratitude. And again, this really helps us to connect with the world around us. We are quite often so concerned about me and mine and doing the next thing that we cut ourselves from the world around us. And this pandemic gives us a golden opportunity to actually build a new relationship with the things that we handle, the things that sustain us. And so I hope in this way, meditation works both on the cushion and in our daily life. And in fact, in my practice, which is Zen practice, we are told not to start off immediately with meditation practice on the cushion, to build up a bit of endurance by doing what's called daily life practice, which is basically what I've just talked about, which is to give ourselves wholeheartedly into what we're doing at the moment and handling things carefully. That gives us a bit of endurance for the sitting meditation, because sometimes, particularly for people who have some tormenting thoughts, that might not help during meditation. And just developing some sort of endurance in daily life helps with meditation on the cushion. Okay, so I will leave meditation topic there. So the last thing I want to talk about is, where do we go from here? So you've done the Introducing Buddhism course. What can you do to carry on with Buddhist practice? So as per the question that someone asked at the start, it is not helpful to just keep on intellectual study. You've got, with this Introducing Buddhism course, you've got all the basic teachings of Buddhism there. And really, you need to understand those teachings in terms of practice. You need to see things that happen to you in daily life, and suddenly a light will flash and say, yeah, this is exactly what this teaching was talking about. So we need to, first of all, build the practice. As far as, I'll come back to the intellectual side. So as far as the practice is concerned, we cannot actually just make up the practice on our own as we go along, because we really don't know, how the practice works, what brings results. What we really need to do is follow one particular traditional way of practice and follow it really right from the start to the end. So when I say traditional practices, for example, it could be Theravada practice, it could be Tibetan practice, it could be Zen, it could be Pure Land, and the society offers classes in all these practices. And the society is actually unique in having all these different traditions under one roof. So we are very lucky that we have it all under one roof. Really, start with one particular practice. You can start off with the classes at the society, and the teachers for these classes actually come from well-recognized Buddhist places. So Theravada, the teachers come from Amravati, really very good place, to practice Theravada Buddhism. The Zen teachers come from the Zen Centre. Tibetan teachers are linked to Jamyang. So these are all, reliable, good places. So the best thing you can do is actually start off with your particular chosen practice, with the classes at the society on the practice side, and then naturally link you to these other institutions, Amravati or Jamyang or the Zen Centre. The other thing, as far as practice is concerned, is we have meditation classes at the society. And at the moment, because of the pandemic, I'm not sure if all the meditation classes are running, but we have lunchtime meditation. We have Thursday evening meditation at 6:30, and we have Saturday meditation. And I believe that Saturday meditation classes are not running at the moment during the pandemic. And I personally started off my meditation practice at the society 30 years ago. And the meditation class that I started off was the Thursday evening meditation class. And it was run by Colin Ash, and he still runs it. And it takes, when someone has done the class for 30 years, in these days where people don't have staying power, it says something about the class. So, I'd highly recommend that class if you're looking for one particular class for meditation. Now, one question that is often asked is, so if there is Theravada, Tibetan, Zen, which practice should I choose? Now, some people may have an inclination towards one practice or another because they might have had some sort of association, or they may have done readings on a particular side. If they've read a lot about Zen, they might be drawn towards Zen classes. We have this peculiar thing in West where we can pick and choose, and that causes us difficulties. If we were in a Buddhist country, we'll just get on with what was there. So, but, because we have this choice, people want to know what to do. Now, I say that you should really stick to one tradition from beginning to the end. However, if you're not sure which tradition you want to follow, you could try out each tradition for a good amount of time. I'd say at least a couple of months. And even during that period, don't mix the traditions. So you can try out, say, Tibetan class for 2 months or Theravada class for 2 months, but just do that class. Don't do another class. And then after you've done that, if you want to experience a different tradition, then do that for 2 months. But then after that, you must choose one particular tradition. Mixing and matching is a way to end up in a lot of confusion. So, and these traditional practices have come to us from hundreds of years of practice. They're tried and tested. So we can't do any better than follow one of the traditional practices. So that's the practice side. And on the theoretical courses, so having done the Introducing Buddhism course, we still, I would say, we still need to keep on revisiting those teachings. Buddhist concepts are very difficult to understand to start with. So it's not as if, we've done the course, we've done this Introducing Buddhism course, we know about basic Buddhism and that's it. We go on to something else. It needs revisiting and revisiting and revisiting. You can read the introductory book again and again. And, as you practice, you'll get new insights into something that you hadn't seen as you revisit the course. And, if you wish, you can also do this introductory course again. Sorry, just 1 second. Sorry. Yeah. So we can do the introductory course again. Different teachers have different ways of expressing the teachings, and you'll find that someone else doing those teachings will give the same teachings in a different way, and you may gain something out of it. So by all means, just because you've done it once does not necessarily mean you can't do it again. If you want to, that is, you can do it again. You don't have to. But what I would definitely advise against is going into sort of more advanced courses which the society offers. So the courses that the society offers as you progress there's a course called the First Turning of the Wheel course, which is just the same teachings. There are no new teachings actually, explored at a deeper level. And then there is also a course called the Great Way, and this is the development of Buddhism into Mahayana. So that's covered in the Great Way course. And as I say, don't do this courses straight away. Do at least a couple of years of practice before you attempt any of these other courses. Do explore the website of the society. It has a lot of resources, and it has information about all these courses when they're running, etc. And sorry, I'm just reading chat. Yeah, so there is Gateway to Vajrayana, which by Roy Stutherwood, which is being recommended as well, which you can explore. So that's as far as the theoretical courses are concerned. Now, during normal times, the society also holds a summer school, which is a really nice thing to attend. It is basically giving Buddhist teachings and practice in a sort of a semi-holiday environment. We hire facilities at Royal Agricultural College. So there are courses on Buddhism. There is an opportunity to do some meditation as well. And as I say, it's not like a retreat. It's not designed like a retreat. It is designed like a semi-holiday. There's lots of free time. The Royal Agricultural College is in nice countryside on the outskirts of Cirencester. So, there's time to go for walks. The The food at the college is nice. So definitely something worth doing if it's available next year, if we have got above the pandemic. So that's what's available on the society. Now, this society makes no charge for any of these classes. The only charge that it does make is for the summer school. All the classes are free. Some are open to the members of the public, and for some you do need to become a member of the society. If you have benefited from this course and if you want others to benefit likewise, then do consider taking up membership of the society. And also, the society really survives on donations. So, do consider, if you, as I said, the classes are free, but if you do go to some of these classes, then if you make donations, that helps the society to make its teachings available. And as I say, one of the unique things about the society is you get all these different traditions under one roof. And the unique thing about that is because of all these teachings available under one roof, you do come across people from different traditions, so you can see how other traditions practice. And also, there are public talks on Wednesday evenings generally. I believe it might be once a month, but I'm not quite sure what happens during this pandemic time. But there are public talks where the speakers come from all sorts of traditions. And although, this question was asked in one of the earlier talks, although I've said that you should only practice with one tradition, that's not to say that you can't go to a talk held by a speaker from another tradition. All I'm saying is, as far as the practice is concerned, just stick with that practice. Don't mix and match it. But the unique thing about the society are all these traditions are under one roof, and there's interaction with other people, and you have the opportunity to hear of the teachings. It'll be the same teachings really, but just given from another point of view. So that's quite beneficial. And the society has a journal called The Middle Way, where again, there'll be articles written by teachers or just anyone really from different traditions. And again, we can understand a little bit about, what the other traditions do. But, what's really satisfying is that, we may all be practicing in different ways in different traditions, but we'll see from all these interactions that we're really all talking about the same thing all the time. So I think that covers where we can go from here. The society does have a Buddhist directory. I don't think it's been updated for a while, but it gives details of all the groups all around the country. That is not to say the society endorses all the groups. The society does not have the ability, the resources to endorse all the groups, except the ones that it is directly associated with. So, but if you wanted to find out, what's available in a particular part of the country, you can always email the society and just ask for them to refer to the directory. The directory may be available for purchase as well. I'm not sure about that. And okay, I've been told that the directory is up to date and will be available online soon. So that should be helpful if you're trying to find a group near you. But as I say, that's not to say the society is endorsing it. You'll have to use your own judgment about the group and the teachers. You get some really good teachers all over the country, but you do get some, that have just started of the group, maybe without full understanding. So, you do need to be careful, use your own judgment on that. Okay, so that really does bring us to the end of the course. And I'll just finish off by saying two things that the Buddha said. The first one is, all beings, but all beings have the power and the wisdom of the Tathagata. Tathagata is another appellation for the Buddha. So he says, all beings, but all beings have the power and wisdom of the Tathagata, only they fail to see it because of their sticky attachments. So in other words, we have the power and the wisdom to see exactly what the Buddha saw. And each and every one of us has that. The only reason why we don't see it, the only reason why we see a distorted picture of the world is because of the sticky attachments that we have covered it over with. So I'll just repeat that. All beings, but all beings have the power and wisdom of the Tathagata, only they fail to see it because of their sticky attachments. And the other thing that the Buddha said, and these were his last words before Buddha passed away, impermanent are all compounded things, strive on heedfully. So wish you all the best in striving on heedfully. This brings us to the end of the course, and as usual, we can have some questions. If you would like to raise the questions, you can do so either through chat, or you can just unmute yourself and ask the question if you want. So I'm just going to read something on the chat. Okay. Right. Okay. So, yeah, on to you, and to anyone if they have any questions.
So we have a lot of questions here in the chat. Maybe I'll start with some of these.
Yeah.
So the first question is from Susan.
Yeah.
Bowing to the Buddha Rupa, what is the significance of this act when Buddha never said to worship him?
Okay. Yes, Buddha definitely said not to worship him, and it's so. And Buddha definitely said, don't just take my word because I say it. Test it out for yourself. So you're completely right, and it's a good question to ask. The reason why we bow to Buddha, first of all, as I said, we carry a lot of ideas in our head as to, how things should be, and, what I like, what I don't like, what I can bear, what opinions I can entertain and what I can't. And it is to let go of that, to let go of all these opinions, views, judgments that we are carrying in our head, because those are the very things that actually restrict us. It's you can use your opinions, you can use your judgments, provided you do it with clarity. But till we know that we are doing it with clarity, then just blindly carrying on with these opinions and judgments, and then being confined by it, means that we cannot see the wider picture. The act of bowing is to say, I surrender myself. In other words, I'm willing to let go of my opinions and ideas and be willing to be open to something greater, because I is really just a bundle of those opinions and ideas. And by bowing, we are saying, I'm willing to let go of that. And then the other thing is, although Buddha said, do not worship me, we can still be grateful to Buddha for the teachings that he gave us. And so that's an act of gratitude as well. And gratitude is really wonderful in linking us to the world around us and to everything around us. Okay, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Rohit. We have another question from Carmela. Could you please give an example of how one might experience the insight into reality as it truly is occurring during meditation? Is this an intellectual realization?
Sorry, can you just read the question again, because I want to answer it accurately.
Of course. So, could you please give an example of how one might experience the insight into reality as it truly is occurring during meditation? Okay. Is this an intellectual realization?
Right, okay. Okay, so, okay, you want an example, and I will give you an example. But so for us to have that insight part of it open up, we must have developed some familiarity with the calming of the mind, where the thoughts are calmed down a little bit to some extent. Okay, so I'll just give you an example. So I recall one day I was going to the society from exiting Victoria Station, and Victoria Station was being redeveloped. It was extremely busy. Everyone was being funneled through one narrow staircase. So, you know, everyone was really just packed in closely, just climbing the stairs. And there was no way to do anything except just follow the person in front of you. You couldn't really just rush through. And then there was this lady who must have been in a rush, and just shouted to me, say, "Move, man!" And I was really taken aback. So that was a passion that arose as to how rude I thought at that time. And because through the practice, you learn to recognize this. You do not lash out. Otherwise, it's very easy to just lash out verbally, at least. And even if we can't lash out verbally, that energy, we've said we should contain that energy. So anyway, so that energy was there. That energy of this lady being rude was there. So when I sat down for meditation, I just interposed that incident in the calmness. And in the calmness, by letting that energy, having been there and not having freighted it away by either lashing out verbally at the lady, or sometimes the energy has so many different ways of just escaping. So sometimes we if you're good Buddhists and we say, oh, we can't even lash out verbally, so what would then happen is we might just make a sarcastic remark. So that's one way that the energy can escape, but we don't let all that. We just become familiar with all these ways that the energy escapes. So anyway, I sat down with that energy, and I just sat on it, and instead of that, what I saw was that instead of that rude lady, I saw compassion arising. I saw that we are living in London, a busy city. We all want to make our way, do things. We are all under time pressure, all sorts of pressure. And that's all that was happening to that lady. And I can relate to many times that I have done similar things. So that's how insight opens up. So there was a little bit of insight about how we're all linked, how and also a little bit of more insight about how just containing that energy and just let it be can open out another picture. And as I say, if I hadn't done that, if I just really tried and reason out logically, I may not have come to that conclusion. I would have only seen it from my point of view. And I would have only seen that, that lady was wrong to have been so rude. And that's all I would have seen. I would not have seen the broader picture. So I hope that is an example that helps.
Thank you, that's brilliant.
Okay.
Okay, and we have another question from Carmela here.
Yeah.
If one suffers from back pain and the only comfortable posture to maintain for 30 consecutive minutes is by laying on your back, is this acceptable if one manages to remain fully alert?
Yeah, if you manage to remain fully alert, that would be fine. But I think it'd be a challenge to remain alert lying on the back. I think it'd be far better to find a sitting posture with all sorts of supports that you need, or maybe on an armchair or something where you have, where your back is supported. Use whatever aids you need to. And although I say that, ideally we should remain still for half an hour. If you can't because of the medical circumstances, then fine. You can adjust it accordingly. But I'd say rather than lying down, it'd be better to find a sitting posture that works with whatever aids that you can use, and without knowing about your actual back issue. I think a physiotherapist might be a good one to advise on that one as to how you can sit, taking care of your back. Okay, Lavinia.
Thanks. The next question from Susan. Lalitasana, do you ever use the royal ease pose for meditation?
Say that again. What's the name of the pose?
Lalitasana. Okay,
so Susan, if you want to unmute yourself, I actually don't know what that pose is. Which perhaps you might like to explain that? As I said, I don't know what that pose is. If you wish to.
The pose where one leg is raised and one leg is down. One knee is close to the chest and the other leg is down. The royal ease pose.
Okay. Are you sitting, when I demonstrated, are you more or less in that posture, or are you sitting, Thai people sometimes sit with the legs to the side. Is it something related to that?
So it'd be like, say, seated on a chair or a stool, and one knee is brought up close to your chest, while the other knee is still down. You see that in...
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen people do meditation in that posture?
No, but I've seen a lot of statue, Buddha rupas. In that posture, the royal ease pose.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen Kuan Yin in that posture, for example, quite often. I don't think that is a helpful posture generally during meditation. I think, those Buddha rupas are sometimes showing the ease of that particular bodhisattva, for example. And that's why it's shown in that posture. It's probably not a meditation posture. I personally would not use that posture for meditation. And in fact, you reminded me, there are some, if you look at Buddha rupas, most of the Buddha rupas, I wouldn't say all, but most of the Buddha rupas actually would show Buddha in a really good meditation posture. So if you want an idea of what a good meditation posture is, then it's useful looking at a Buddha rupa. And some of them are in half lotus and some of them may be in full lotus, but it's a useful thing to look at. Yeah. Thank you, Lavinia.
So next question is from Shami.
Yeah.
As Buddha's Enlightenment Day is on the 8th December, what is the best way of marking this important day? I was thinking of meditating all day in the open air. Thanks.
Okay, right. So just to clarify, as I say, we have different traditions here. It's only in, I know for sure that in Zen tradition, 8th December is the day marked as Buddha's Day of Enlightenment. In Theravada Buddhism, it's a different date. It falls during springtime. So just clarifying that. But Shami, I know that you are part of the Zen group. The best thing you can do is do a full night sitting with the group, with the Zen group, because you're part of it. And the full night sitting is available on Zoom on Friday the 4th on the society website. And just do the full night sitting. So that full night sitting is again to show gratitude for what Buddha achieved on that particular day. So that's the best way to mark it. And then I do know also that on the 8th, the day, so the Buddha obtained the enlightenment in Zen tradition on the night of the 7th, going into the morning of the 8th. And on the morning of the 8th, with the Zen group, there's a dedication service as well, which is online, so you can join that as well.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Next question. Do you have to interpose something in the calmness, such as a teaching, as you said, or can you just let it be and simply stay in the calmness? And this is from Carmela.
Yeah. So just staying in the calmness is good practice in itself. And in fact, you know, definitely according to Zen tradition, you know, that true calmness without any thought coverings is really the true reality. So to dwell in that is very useful. So you don't necessarily need to interpose anything, but you know, if you do go on to Vipassana practice, that is where you would interpose some teaching. But as I say, you know, Vipassana practice should really be done under guidance of a teacher.
Thank you. The next question is from Pauline.
Yeah.
Rohit, you mentioned samatha and vipassana leading to unshakable security of the mind. And then you said something about defilements, which I missed. Could you say it again, please?
Okay, so I'm not quite sure exactly what I might have said, but so you know, once we are established in practice, we have a certain amount of clarity, and we know the teachings for what they are, and we know that we are not shaken by the passions, or we're not drawn willy-nilly by the passions, and so that's a deliverance that we obtain from meditation. That you know, we see the arising of the passions. We know that there's energy in the passions, and they want to draw us away. For example, in the example I gave of the lady at the station, you know, there's that energy that wants to lash out verbally or be sarcastic. But we don't. And then through meditation, there is that clarity, and in that clarity, the world seems a different place. You know, things that bother us don't bother us because we see it in its true light. So those are the things that open up. And you know, the profound teachings of Buddhism might be very difficult to get to, but you know, the benefits of the practice and meditation do come through fairly quickly. So through meditation, you know, we can contain, we learn to contain our passions. We learn for things that we don't like to be there. They can be there, but they don't have to interfere with things that we have to do. We are aware that they are there, but they don't seem to cause us suffering. They don't seem to draw us away, and we just get on with things that we need to do without those things interfering. So we acquire that ability through meditation as well. So I hope that answers that question.
Thank you. So we have some more questions. The next one is from SJ. Is this meditation process the same in Tibetan Buddhism?
No. The meditation that I described is one type of meditation that is common to all the schools, which is awareness of the breath. That was that meditation, awareness of the breath. And that is common to all the schools of Buddhism. And then Tibetan Buddhism has so many different other forms of meditation. And this is why I'm saying that you should not mix up your practices, because you'll really end up confused, because, Tibetans will, I don't follow with the Tibetan Buddhism, so I can't say much about it, but, they have different ways of practicing it. And if you then take that into something else, you'll really end up confused. So there are different forms of meditation. Theravada has meditation, for example, on loving kindness, for example, where the person leading the meditation talks you through the meditation, which might be helpful to start with. Perhaps some people find it helpful. I personally don't find it helpful because I've been brought up in a different tradition. So I find, for me, awareness of the breath practice is the most helpful. And as I said, that's the one that's universal to all the traditions. But yes, you will come across different meditations in different practices.
Thank you. Next question is from Andrew.
Yeah.
I've seen some meditation classes begin with chanting. Is this common to all schools of Buddhism? And also, what is the purpose of the chanting? Is it to orientate the mind?
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, I think all traditions have some form of chanting, but again, they differ from practice to practice. So again, a good reason not to mix up practices. And chanting, I personally find it very helpful. I do some chanting in the morning as a first thing, and I find that a great help. And the chants that I do are, those are in our tradition, is repentance sutra, where you are just repenting for the bad karma that you have created, and then that's really helpful. So, for example, again, going to the example I gave about this lady in Victoria Station. Say if I had lashed out verbally at her, or been sarcastic with her, and not managed to contain my energy, then I've laid down karmic roots. And then through that chant, it helps me to actually let go of those karmic roots. Repentance for something we have done reduces the potency of the bad action. So I find it very useful personally. And then another chant that I do is the three refuges. Now, this particular chant of dedicating ourselves to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. These are the three refuges that we take refuge in as part of Buddhist practice, and that exists in all the traditions. So all the traditions take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, that is in his teaching, and the Sangha. Sangha is the community of monks, but it can also be community of Buddhist practitioners, because Buddha, we take refuge in him for the discovery he made and the teaching, and then the Dharma, we take refuge in the Dharma because those are the teachings that guide us, and we take refuge in the Sangha, the community, because it's, as I've indicated in the talk on meditation, it's very difficult to practice on one's own. We need a community of like-minded practitioners to sustain us. So we take refuge in the community as well. So this chant, although is different in Zen in terms of the language used, etc., will be in other traditions as well. So that chant is in all the traditions, but there are so many other chants that the other traditions would do. And the benefit is it just opens up the heart. We can't just do everything as you would have probably gathered. We can't understand everything just by thinking through it intellectually, by rational thought, and just by opening out our heart, something opens up, and chanting is a very good practice for that to happen. Okay, Lavinia, you can go on to the next question.
Okay, so Michael asks, how do you choose which tradition to follow? And I think you spoke about that. Maybe you want to add something?
Yes, I mean, I did speak about that.
Yeah.
So very briefly, I'll just go through it again. If you're drawn to one particular tradition because of any links you might have or the readings that you've done, if you're drawn to it, that's great. The decision is made for you. Otherwise, very briefly, you can try out each of the traditions offered at the Buddhist Society for maybe a couple of months at a time, and just for those couple of months, just do that one tradition, then go on to another one, and then, at the end of that, you can make a decision as to which one appeals to you. And then once you made the decision, then just stick with it, the tradition. No, do not mix and match, because that way lies confusion, and that it's not very helpful, actually. You can just try out various traditions to start with at the society, and then go on from there.
Thank you. Shall I go on with the next question?
Okay, so we've actually come to 8 o'clock, and because this is the last talk, I'll answer a few more questions. If people wish to leave, they're quite welcome to leave. It is 8 o'clock, but because it's the last session, I'll just answer a few more questions.
Thank you. We just have 2 more.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is from Hannah. Please, can you explain the difference between Soto and Rinzai Zen?
Okay. The main... okay, so there's outward differences where the Soto meditation is done facing a wall, for example, whereas in Rinzai Zen, we face into the room. So these are just, cosmetic differences. The one big difference is that of koan practice. So koan practice is where you're given a conundrum and you're to give the answer to the teacher as to your understanding of the conundrum, and that leads to insight. So that's koan practice. And it's practiced in Rinzai Zen, but not so much in Soto. Soto, they might use it occasionally, but it's not the main practice, whereas koan practice is the main practice of opening up insight in Rinzai Zen. Okay, so got one more question, Lavinia?
Yes, we've got one more question. And before that, we've got Carmela, who says, thank you so much for the course. It has been very helpful and so well structured. And also Michael wants to thank you. and says it has been very insightful and I love your anecdotes. They always make me smile. It's nice to share. And then we have the last question here from Jennifer.
Yeah.
Why do we hold our hands together in this way while meditating? Also, why should the right palm be over the left?
Okay, so as far as holding the hands that way is, if you've got one particular way of holding the hand, and if you're not having to chop and change, that means that your mind is not wandering about, with the focus on the hands. So that's one thing that is out of the picture where you could be distracted. So that's helpful in that sense. The hand posture I showed you has been used for hundreds of years, and it's causes less. It doesn't cause any stress on this posture, and I believe that's possibly why it's used. But beyond that, all I can say that it's been used traditionally. It works, and sometimes there are no intellectual answers to some of the things. We just do the practice. And we don't necessarily need an intellectual answer sometimes for some of these things. Is there anything else?
No, that's all for today.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you everyone for staying on the course till the end. I wish you joy and warmth in walking along the Buddha's path, and all my best wishes to you all.